Hello there guys and welcome back to my channel for yet another live reaction and player ratings live stream following, of course, a Chelsea game as Chelsea finally managed to put, some goals in the back of the net of the opponent as we managed to breeze past Malmo FF with a 4-0 victory at home. One of the most bittersweet 4-0 victories I think you'll ever see anywhere, because we won 4-0, which is brilliant. We played some good football, which is brilliant. But unfortunately, both Romelu Lukaku and Timo Werner got injured. And they were both subbed off in the first half. Both injuries don't look too, they both look a little bit serious. I'm not saying they'll be out for 6 months, but, not like I doubt they'll be back for the weekend. So, that's not good. That's not good. But we will try to focus on the positives. But, of course, it is a bit of a problem. Do we now have a forward injury crisis? We will talk about it, as we will talk about the performance of every individual player, of course, the manager, the sub appearances, and everything else there is to discuss. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're going to enjoy it. Why not? Smash the like button for me. If you want to get involved and support the channel and get your opinions across, do use the super chat function. But of course, we are, as always, joined by some special guests. First and foremost, the return of Mr. CFCPys. Pys, it's been a minute. How you been? I hope you're well. And a good time to chat again after a 4-0 win, isn't it?
It's not been that long, is it?
It's been
a minute, but it's not been that long.
Since the international break?
I can't actually remember. I feel like I was not on here not too long ago, though. But yeah, it's good to be back.
I thought it was longer. Maybe I'm wrong. Go on.
Yeah, I was planning to come on the preview, but ended up couldn't come on, so that was great. And then I'm here today, so yeah. I'm happy with the win. Really good result. Finally, we actually put a lot of goals past someone, which was nice. Granted, 2 being penalties, but still, a goal is a goal, so I don't care. And yeah, I thought it was really good football. I mean, Malmo couldn't get out of our press. I think we packed the midfield really well. And it was just constant going at them. And that's what I want to see against Norwich. Like, just from minute one, just take it to them, because I do believe teams like Malmo, teams like Norwich, they're there for the taking because they're not great at defending. So, yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Clutch is, of course, also joining us today, which is, again, brilliant as always. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, do you echo what Pice just said? Finally putting some goals past an opponent. Good win overall.
It was a great win. I think 45 minutes today, we had some of the best football we've ever played this year so far. It looked a lot like the reverse of what we got against Brentford when we were stuck in our own half and we couldn't do anything. We just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. There were a couple players I was really, really happy with today. But yeah, it was a pretty good day overall. Well, I wouldn't say that. It was bittersweet at most, but good football.
I would agree. It was some good football in there. Obviously, it's always difficult to judge, really, how much of that is down to the opponent, how much is not, of course, because Juventus beat Zenit 3-0. Zenit beat them 4-0. We beat them 4-0. So it's not exactly like they're looking like the most difficult of opponents in the world. So, from that point of view, you obviously have to take it with a little pinch of salt, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And that's what we did today. And we did it well, in my opinion. We did it well. I'm just trying to put these links out in a couple of more places. Then I will get the lineup up on screen so we can discuss it, because I can't lie to you. When I saw the lineup, I wasn't particularly pleased. And before we get into the injuries and before we get into performances in the game itself, I do quickly want to ask you guys as your reaction, because, and I'll start with you, Pice. Now, Thomas Tuchel yesterday said that, in his opinion, Romelu Lukaku is overplayed. And then he proceeds to start him against an opponent who we would be expected to beat with or without Romelu Lukaku. Now, of course, I see he probably wanted to give him a game to give him some confidence back and, to help him get some goals. And I'm not going to sit here, if only he didn't start him, he wouldn't be injured. Hey, you never know what's going to happen. But to say in a press conference, the reason why he's struggling is he's overplayed, and then you play him the day after, again, in a game where you don't need to play him, I found that very confusing.
So I slightly disagree. I think it's one of those circumstantial things during the game. Like, I think when he said he was tired, he said he was mentally tired, not physically tired. So that's like a completely different thing. And he also said later on during the quotes, I think that came out in like one of the newspaper articles, because they have like a newspaper section right after the media, like the actual questions that we see. And I was reading it, it said like, but I'm debating whether, you know, playing him on and trying to get his confidence up, sort of thing, along those lines. You know, do I keep playing him or do I rest him? So I think it's one of those things where tonight he gets a goal, doesn't get injured. Oh, Tuchel, what a decision, you know, great stuff. But then he gets an unfortunate injury, and Tuchel's, why did you play him? Like, it's just, I don't know, it's too circumstantial for me. Like, it's not like he played really bad, and then I could have been like, well, Tuchel, why you play? Like, just rest him. Like, he's obviously in bad form, but I think it was actually probably the correct decision to play him based off he needs confidence, and Malmo's one of those teams where you think he would play well and expect to get a goal, which I have no doubt he was at least getting 1 or 2 tonight before that injury. So for me, it's just too circumstantial, and football's like that. Like, I can't really blame Tuchel for tonight. I find it hard to blame him. Like, I can't personally.
Oh no, not at all. I wasn't trying to blame Tuchel by any means. That's not what I just found it confusing.
Oh, well, a lot of people were blaming Tuchel. Like,
yeah, no, you're right.
Twitter, like, oh, that's
A lot
such
of
a
people are
stupid
weird.
decision. Well, you know, it looks a stupid decision because he got injured, but anyone can get injured. So it's like, it's just, as you said, bittersweet that obviously it's Lukaku. So it's like, you know, crap. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like, what can you do? Like, I don't think Tuchel was expecting a centre back to clatter into his ankle like that inside the box. So I mean, it's one of those things that people have different opinions, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear. Like I said, I'm not even trying to like blame Tuchel for the injury now. I just still think. I know I read those statements as well, and you know I do see what he means in terms of do I play him, do I not? I get it, but I still feel like if you're gonna make the big thing out of being overplayed and almost blaming the national teams when he only played 1 game for the international for Belgium last week, by the way, and also Belgium were knocked out of the quarterfinals in the Euro, so it's not like they play like stupid. He played stupid amounts of games, but then you play him the next day. I just think you can't go on a 5-minute waffle about how bad all these games with the international team are, and then start him the next day. I find that weird. Like, fair enough. Hey, you're the manager. You start whoever you want to start, but don't waffle for 5 minutes about he's overplayed. Then I find that a bit strange. But I will get it up on screen because I will ask you about it as well. Of course, Clutch, what you made of that Lukaku in particular. But there was a couple of things which I just didn't understand about the team. Like, honestly, today I was just left very confused by the lineup. I just didn't understand quite a lot of it. But Clutch, initially, just Lukaku. Do you see where I'm coming from? Where you're saying it's a bit strange that, you know, overplayed and then he starts anyway?
I agree with both of you. When it came out yesterday, when he was talking about, like, I get that Pius said he's like mentally tired, but at some point you still got to give him a rest. But I also see where you have to play him at some point to get his confidence and all that back. But at the same time, it's all hindsight. I mean, nobody can expect, like, hey, anytime any one of these players goes out there, they have a chance to get hurt. But you can't expect somebody to come in and get hurt. Like, that's just hindsight. I wouldn't blame him for that. It's just like you said, it's confusing. Like, if he's so tired mentally, then he needs a break somewhere. And if you're going to give him a break, why not against one of these teams? But I also see, like, hey, if he is going to get his confidence back, it's going to be against either Malmo or Norwich. One of those 2 places he's going to get where he can get his confidence back easily. But it's very confusing. I wouldn't say, because when I rate Tuchel later, it's going to be a little bit surprising. It is just confusing more than anything. Like, I don't understand if he's so tired. And also, I didn't know Rudiger's status. Like, is Rudiger good enough to go? But apparently he was. And I mean, we didn't know anything, but now, hey, everything is hindsight at this point.
Yeah, of course. And that's the weird thing where it comes from, because we sit here now, and because Rudiger started, and that was one of the next few I was going to mention. Rudiger started, played well, won us a penalty and didn't seem to have any problems. So you can, in hindsight, say worked out brilliantly. But still, when I saw that, I'm like, so 3 days ago, he wasn't even fit to make the bench, but now he starts while Reece James comes back from an injury and can't start 2 games, while Aspie, who played both games during international break and played quite a lot during the Euros and played loads last season and is getting on, keeps playing. Like, there's a lot of things that, in my opinion, contradict each other that are going on here. So I'll ask you, Pies. I was baffled, number one, the fact that Aspie started again, and even more so that Aspie started a wing back. Why? Like, Reece came on the last game. Why couldn't he start? Like, I just can't. I just don't get. I honestly don't get it. And Rudiger, But he didn't need to be rushed in today. Maybe he wasn't rushed in, but if he wasn't rushed in, he probably could have been on the bench against Brentford. Then why wasn't it? I just have so many questions. And I'm not even trying to say Tuchel is doing all of this wrong. I just wish I could talk to him and ask him, because I'm sure he has reasons for these decisions, but I just don't get it.
Yeah, I think the one I was really surprised with was Rudiger, actually. I thought he was going to play Rudiger at the weekend and play Sarr again. Because I don't know, some people were saying he was really average, and some people were saying he was amazing against Brentford. And I was just a bit in between. I thought he played good, but especially towards the end, he was out of position a lot. But still, against Malmo, Brentford are miles better than Malmo, clearly. So I thought, maybe just based on confidence and form, because even merit, if you have a performance like Sarr did, a solid performance, really, is there a need to play Rudiger? But I don't know, man. I guess he just went with one of the strongest teams to get the win, I guess. It's Aspi, James, bit of a toss-up. I mean, I know you said Aspi's getting on and he plays a lot, but for me, Aspi's kind of like Mount. Aspi's just, when does he ever miss a game?
Mount got loads of rest recently.
Yeah, I do agree, but I think actually Aspi's like Mount, but I think Aspi's even more reliable than Mount. Or not reliable, it's the wrong word, but more I don't know the word, but yeah, I don't know the word. I lost it.
No, I know what you mean. Dependable. I don't know exactly what word you're looking for, but
like Mount is amazing at pressing and he can play so many games in a row, but Aspi will just not durable. It's not durable. Is that the
word you're looking for?
Huh? Do
you mean consistent? Is that the word you're looking for?
I mean, I want to say that, but then Mount has been so consistent in terms of how many times he's played. So I don't know. I just think Mount got to the stage where he's young, but he burnt out, and really, you'd think the older player would burn out, but Aspi's just kind of got some sick genes where he just doesn't really burn out really. So
you see the heart on Aspi every game.
Huh?
You see the heart of Aspie and how much he just loves this club every game.
Yeah, you can always count on him, and you can usually count on Mount. But I think lately giving Mount a bit of a rest was a good decision, because I think Mount tonight, he was pressing like mad. He looked really on it tonight, I thought. So yeah, I mean the right wing back was really a toss up for me. I guess he'll play James at the weekend though. I'm guessing.
You'd presume so, but at this point, I don't even know. I mean, you mentioned there just play Sarr, but to me, it's just I don't have a problem with Aspie starting necessarily, but I don't understand why he keeps being at right wing back, where we all know as much as he has a good game in him there, he's still better in other positions. And I don't even think it was bad by any means today, but I'm just either play Aspie left centre back or Christensen left centre back and play Aspie right centre back and let James play. I don't understand why you wouldn't let James play. I don't get it. It's just confusing to me. It's just confusing to me. Before we get into the player ratings themselves, and actually, Clutch, anything you want to add to that in confusion about Rudiger and Aspie?
I think I said yesterday I really don't want to see Aspie at the right wing back position. I think if you're gonna have it, you should have James there, and if you're gonna play, like you said yesterday, the 3-5-2, then it needs to be Cho on that right wing back. But I mean, the way we played the positions today, Aspie was always coming from the middle, and the inverted wing backs that we had, I love that. I love that a lot today. And Aspie was always making the runs, always causing problems, I think, but. For me,
it's true. Go on.
I mean, for me, I think we'll get to it later, but I think it turned out because the plan was a lot different than normal. I mean, you had Mount who was staying wide, and then you had Aspie and Chilwell coming inside and making those runs, while Lukaku and Werner were out sitting more towards the sides of the box, and the middle was coming from Chilwell or Aspie. I like that today. I think that use of Aspie was a lot better. And he was making better final third passes than some of our midfield. Not both of them, but Conte for sure.
It probably was, to be honest. It probably was. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Before we get into the player ratings themselves, let me actually get the lineup off screen. And I do want to just discuss the injuries before we get into anything else, in all honesty. What am I seeing here? Injury update. Pys has an injury update for us. Please do tell.
Yeah, so I just seen what Tuchel said. He said Tuchel says Lukaku's twisted his ankle. Werner suffered a hamstring injury. both in quotation marks will be some days out. So I don't know whether that's not the greatest of English or whether he means games but days, I mean, is very interesting. Hopefully it's not too long.
Hopefully it's not too long, but yeah, it certainly didn't look great. And, you know, it leads quite well into what I was going to talk to you about now, because obviously Romelu Lukaku got injured in winning us a penalty. I just said it to the boys off air before we went live. Lukaku, oozing of confidence, probably pulls the trigger a tad earlier, scores, the tackle never happens, does get injured. And that's just the unfortunate cycle of horror, or whatever you want to call it, that happens when players are slightly out of confidence or slightly out of, you know, perfect rhythm. Then things like this happen. He got tackled, clear penalty, but unfortunately, Lukaku did his ankle in. To be honest, I'm thankful it's just the ankle. When it initially happened, I was like, are we sure this is not an Achilles here? Because I can't be doing another Achilles injury here. Like, bloody hell, I can't be handling that. So an ankle is annoying. Obviously, we've seen with Pulisic how long that can take if things go, you know, really bad. But we have also seen with Reece James that you can be back fairly quickly, at least. So there is a positive there. But also, Timo Werner got injured, a little bit later, but still in the first half. Started the sprint, pulled his hammy. And unfortunate. Now we're in a situation where the forward position is probably where we're least stacked in the first place. Well, in every other position, we have arguably too many players. Well, not in every position, but in some of the positions, we have arguably too many players, for example, in midfield. But now we're in a position where the only striker that we have is not a real striker in Kai Havertz. And, you know, Hakim Ziyech is so far out of form that even with 5 subs, he can't get on the pitch. And Hudson-Odoi had a great moment in the assist, but other than that, I didn't really see much of him. That's not a criticism of him. But it's like, do we have an injury crisis in terms of the forwards now? Or depending on how long they're out for, obviously, or do you think we can compensate for it, Clutch?
I mean, it's a little worrying. I mean, you still have Pulisic, who you don't know his timetable for a return. But I guess if you have a silver lining at this point, it's the teams that we got coming up, it's probably the best time for them to get injured at this point. At least we're going to have some sort of ability to come back. I mean, after they both got injured, I just said, I don't even care about the Carabao Cup. We can go play the youth if we want.
I mean, okay. I to be honest, I don't mind it. Although, now that we know that the Club World Cup has obviously been moved to March next year, or early next year at least, to 2022, rather than being in December, that we don't necessarily have to just give up the League Cup by being away for when exactly we're going to play that. So there is a positive to that, I suppose, which is, just winning a trophy early in the season, which is always good, as we learned twice under Jose Mourinho. But it's not ideal, is it, Pais? Like, it's not ideal. Obviously, Lukaku, that's the opposite of what we wanted today. He got the start hoping to get some goals. He was on the verge of scoring. Instead, he gets fouled and gets injured. And now we sat here, and Timo Werner has actually been hitting some, decent form. I'm not saying he was out of this world great now, but he was our best or better attacker against Brentford, out of all of them, in my opinion. He obviously was very good against Southampton before, scored 2 very good goals for Germany in the international break, and now he's out injured. It's just not at the best time, is it?
No, yeah, I don't know, Werner was playing pretty good, I thought, apart from the one sitter he had. But I thought he was actually doing decent, and then hamstrings are just so annoying, honestly. They're very common, first off, so I wasn't surprised. But, I'm not sure. I was going to say I'm not sure how he done it. I mean, they happen common, but I guess like Joe Cole said, maybe overtraining, I'm not sure. Like, it was because it was quite early in the game. You don't usually pull them that early, so not really sure how you get a muscle injury that early in the game, but fair enough. I think Hudson-Odoi, though, coming on, bro. Like, every time he gets the ball on the left, I'm excited because he's just so direct, and I know we've got a dribbler in that position. That's why I'm excited for Pulisic to come back as well, because players that actually can take people on as well as have pace and the switches of play and stuff. It's just it's perfect. I think to the previous question you asked, I think we can compensate without Lukaku, without Werner. I just hope that it'll be easier than we expect. Like, I think we can win the games, or win most of the games. Like, we've got Burnley. I mean, Newcastle will be interesting. Who else have we got coming up?
Norwich on
Favourable
the
for
weekend.
Norwich, yeah, Norwich. I mean, they're favourable. Last season, we proved that we can beat teams without a main striker. So even if it's 1-0, 2-0, I don't care. Just get the points in.
Yeah,
If we
we're
want
top
to
of the
win
league. Just win. Even if
yeah,
we win
yeah.
every
If we-
game
if
1-0,
we
we're
wanna-
going to win the league. If we
That's
win
what I
every
mean, like-
remaining game now 1-0, we're going to win the league. So.
Exactly, like that's what I mean. Like so many people were moaning the other day about Brentford. I'm like, bro, we want to win the league. These are the just win 1-0. Like if we have to win 1-0, like if we don't play the greatest, as long as we win, it's fine. Like, do you know what I mean? Like just keep grinding out the results. But I think actually we'll play. I think we'll actually enjoy seeing Havertz as false nine a little bit more because really we've really enjoyed that last season. I thought most fans, and today I thought it was. Yeah, I thought he was good.
I agree with that, actually. I would agree with that. The question is, and that's the last thing we're going to discuss before we get into the ratings themselves. Depending on how long these guys are out for now, let's presume they're going to be out until the next international break. And after that, they're going to come back. That's just what I'm going to assume because that's what, 2.5, 3 weeks until then? Until the next international break, is it? So I presume they're probably not going to be back before those games. So let me just get on my phone up how many games that is and what games those are. So we play Norwich, Southampton, Newcastle, then Malmo again, Burnley, and then it's the international break. And after international break is Leicester. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 games now. Can Kai Havertz start all of these games up front? And let's presume he can't. Who starts up front if Kai can't? Or if Kai needs a rest, needs to sit one out? What's our upfront option then?
It's Werner. It's going to have to be Werner.
No, but Werner is also injured, mate.
Oh, shit, yeah. You got a good
That's
point.
what I mean. That's the problem.
How did you completely forgot about that? Yeah, geez, that would be interesting. Rudiger, maybe?
Like what, Ruben? They're probably.
Rudiger? No, I don't even want to think of that. Like, Havertz is going to have to step up big time, like. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to say too much until I don't really want to speculate too much until we find like the full extent of the injuries. To be fair, but
if we ever do, because we're Pulisic, we never did so.
Yeah, he only just come out and saying like he suffered some. He's still got pain, but he's really close to returning to training. But it's like, cool. But Pulisic is one of those guys where he might come back for 2 games, play well, and then pick up a hamstring injury or something. So.
It is true. It is true. Clutch, who for you would be that if Kai can't play a game for whatever reason? Is it just fatigue? Is it, for example, a small knock? Is it, I don't know, a suspension if bad comes to worse? Who starts up front then? Flyer saying here, Mount falls 9. Yes, we have done that before, but we have done it with Werner off his left and Kai off his right. Actually, it was Callum off his right against Spurs. So still we had Werner, so one kind of trained striker. Even if Mount was the false 9, we still had a trained striker up front. I mean, Texas Blue saying Alonso, potentially the best shout. I mean, Ruben has played it before under Conte, kind of up front there in that area, in that 3-4-3. Obviously, Tuchel is using him as a 6. So who the hell knows at this point?
I think it's interesting, right? I mean, you just don't know. It could be Ruben. Maybe Chelsea decide, hey, we're going to go get Broja back. Recall his loan. Who knows? I mean, you never know, especially with Tuchel, because he might come out and just say, hey, I'm going to take a couple of the academy boys and see what I can do with them. But we don't know. I mean, hopefully.
But he's not going to start them, is he?
No. I mean, maybe Broja, but he ain't going to start any academy.
But you can't just recall someone in the middle of the season. You can do that on FIFA, but not in real life. So just to clarify, not necessarily just to you, but to everyone, for people to understand how loans work. So every loan is not every loan is the same. Every loan has a separate negotiation and contract clauses. Some loan contracts have a recall clause. Some of them allow you to recall them whenever you want. Some of them allow you to recall them, for example, during the January transfer window, because then at least the loan club can actually find a replacement for the player that was just taken away from them again. But the likelihood of you being able to recall someone during a season, aside from during January, is basically 0. And even during January, I mean, trust me, we tried to get Ampadu out of his Leipzig loan 2 years ago because he just wasn't playing, and we couldn't even get that done. So the likelihood of Broja coming back, in my opinion, is very slim, especially now that he's getting minutes there. And, Broja would only get minutes here until Lukaku is back anyway. So it's a tough one, honestly. That's what I mean with forward or striker injury crisis, because we need to think of something, or we need to just hope that Lukaku is back soon, obviously, and that Kai can just stay fit. Post just put something in the private chat here saying, Tuchel, a quote by Tuchel, I spoke to Lukaku before kickoff about his fatigue, but wanted to play him as a goal was the best medicine. That was the plan. That is fair enough. Still don't understand why you needed to talk about overplay so much then. Has no regrets because it wasn't a muscle injury. Yeah, that is very true. That part is very, very true. But boys, actually, one last thing. I did see it in the chat there. How on earth was that not a penalty? Like, that was 3 times as much of a shove as the shove on Jota yesterday for Liverpool's penalty. I can't... I mean, obviously, we got a penalty 2 minutes later. But if the referee actually gave that penalty, chances are the Lukaku situation doesn't happen and he never gets injured. And we don't have a striker crisis. Can we sue the referee for, I don't know, just not having Lukaku now? I think we should try. Because I don't understand how that's not a pen. Do you agree? Or is that just me? Like, he could so clearly pushed over.
I mean, it was a pen all day for me.
Yeah, I would agree. Pice?
Not gonna lie, I can't remember what one you're talking about, to be fair.
When Jorginho was running through the box and you was like, wait, is he Pulisic? And all of a sudden he goes pushed over and then the ref just says, no, nothing.
I don't remember that. I must have missed
it. It was like a minute before the Lukaku penalty happened.
Yeah, I was probably on my phone.
Yeah, no, fair play. Hey, it's happened to the best of us, bro. It happened to the best of us. Because today, and especially because the 2 of the strikers didn't even play more than like half an hour, let's actually go back to how we used to do it and start with at the back with player ratings, especially because there's not really much to say about any of them. Because, I mean, Malmö just didn't even try. Did they even have a shot on target in the end? I don't think they did. So what do we do about Edouard Mendy? Does he get an NA or do we just give him a standard 6? What do you want to do? Let me go with you first, Pice.
Either, really. I mean, probably an NA. I mean, he could have probably sat down. There was a couple of times where he came out. Actually, there was a couple of times where his positioning was really good. They played a couple of balls in behind, but they really didn't have a chance of getting on goal because Mendy was actually way out of his box. Like, he's really good at reading situations. So there's a couple of times where he had to come out and then like rush to the ball, but then pass it like short to get it past the player. Make sure he wasn't in on goal because, I mean, he would have been if he wasn't in the right position. So I guess you could give him a rating for that.
Yeah, I guess so. But what rating would you give him then? A 6? 6.5? 7?
Yeah, like a 6. Something standard because, I mean, he didn't have to make a save. So,
yeah. We've said this so many times, but it's just difficult. A goalie, if he doesn't have anything to do, how can you give him a good rating? But you also can't give him a bad rating because he didn't do anything wrong. It's just tough. But, Clutch, would you go along with a 6 for Mendy? Because there's not really much to say, is there?
Yeah, but he also had that one pass. I think it was in the first half where he cut it through like 4 attackers, and he got it to, I think it was Georgie. It was a really nice pass, but that 6 is just, I mean, he didn't have anything to do as far as he just passed, which is always something you want from your keeper.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I did say there's nothing really to say about the back 3. There isn't much to say about Thiago Silva. There is a bit to say about both Rudiger and Christensen, to be fair. So let's get Thiago Silva out of the way first. I can't lie. I didn't really notice Thiago Silva much, except, of course, assisting Christensen's goal. And he did that really well. And also, he played a cross in 2 seconds before he played the cross in that led to the goal. So he did that well. But after that, I didn't really notice Thiago Silva. Not in a bad way, but just because, he played simple passes out from the back to build play, and Malmö never threatened us. So what is the central centre-back really going to do? So I'd probably, for the assist, just, add a +1 from the standard 6 and give him a 7. Would you agree? Because, again, a bit like with Mendy, like not much to do, but maybe I just missed something. So let me go with you first this time, Clutch. Would you go along with that? And also the chat, obviously, always get involved and, put the ratings you would give the boys in the chat.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, most of our attack was coming from our back 3 today. I mean, they were building up the play pretty much the entire game. And anytime a ball was like put through the air to go over the back, it was Thiago Silva who was clearing it. So I think a 7 would be fine for him.
Fair dues. Pice?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, not much really to say. I didn't really notice him either, to be fair.
Fair enough. But it was a good assist. It was a good cross.
Yeah, it was a good cross. You're right. It was a good cross. He actually had one before that as well, which nearly he put 2 in the box, right?
Within like 2 or 3 seconds, basically.
Yeah. It was a good cross, to be fair, from a centre back. But Silva's so good technically anyway that I'm not surprised.
No. Completely agree. Before we get to the man of the moment who scored his first ever Chelsea goal today, let's get to Antonio Rudiger. We discussed him obviously earlier about should he have started, should he not. But in the end, he did. He had a shot that went well over. He had a free kick that went well over. But he also won as a penalty. A bit unfortunate for him that he got shoved over, because I'm pretty confident that he would have scored and that would have just been nicer. I mean, I'm happy that Jorginho scored, but I don't know. It's just sick when a centre-back just ends up in this position. Would have given Kai Havertz another assist, because it was a lovely, just popping it through really in the perfect moment for Rudiger. But yeah, won that well, got his tongue out, and all of Twitter went absolutely mental thinking he looks crazy, but fair enough. Yeah, good performance. I'd probably go along with the same as for Thiago Silva, not particularly challenged defensively, did one great thing going forward. You add +1, so you give him a 7. Would we go along with that? Let me go with you first, Pies, this time.
Yeah, pretty much agreed. Was hilarious when he was running in the box. I'm sorry, I'm not hearing anything. He was scoring that if he didn't get a penalty.
I agree.
He was scoring that, bro. I'm telling you, Rudiger will score one goal like that for us one day, and it would just be the greatest thing ever. Almost like Kovacic scoring a goal, it would be like just the perfect thing. But yeah, I mean, even like he does so much funny moments as well as playing really good. Like the free kick had me in tears. Like, oh my days, this guy, what was he doing? Like, he thought he was like Alex or something, and it went into like Rosette. but no, I mean, yeah, I agree with 7, to be fair.
Fair dues. I think a 7 is fair enough. Clutch, would you go along with it?
Yeah, I'll go along with 7. I think Rudiger is such a fun person to watch, because after he got that penalty, I mean, you could just see it on his face. He was sticking his tongue out. I mean, he's having the time of his life whenever he plays, and you can tell like his goal when he plays is to get in the head of the opponent. That's just like that's his thing. I mean, very early on, he ran somebody over, and the guy get up to yell at him, and he just kind of like looked at him like, "Are you gonna try?" I mean, Rudiger's one of my favorite people on this team to watch, and as a center back that he is pressing at the top of their box and winning the ball back. I mean, you can't ask for much more from a guy. You really just can't.
No, you really can't. It's been impressive, and like Melinda said here, please sign that contract. I mean, just do it. Just do it. We've discussed it before, I know, but still, for me, if he's asking 200k, I don't even understand what the holdup is. If he asks 300k, I'm like, fair enough. Okay, maybe we're not too happy paying that. I think he's fully deserves getting that 200k. When you look at some of the other wages that are paid to some of our players, really deserves to be a 200k. Give him 200k. I don't care. Stop waffling about and stop trying to penny pinch in situations where you shouldn't be penny pinching. Do you know what I mean? Like, we had Emanalo on the books for 7 years. Surely we can give, Rudiger 200k a week, surely. But hey ho, it is what it is. Let's get to Andreas Christensen. And you know what, Pies? I think I'm going to give you the floor. Why not? How good was that? How good was that to see him score that goal?
Amazing. Like I said, I did a tweet. He's been at Chelsea since he was 17. He made his debut. 136 matches that took him to score, which is incredible. But I mean, great goal. Hit it into the ground. It wasn't even like a tap in or like an easy header. That was actually a banging goal. But yeah, he was really good today, I thought. Just so comfortable on the ball. Just a sense of security that we get now is crazy. Even in the Brentford game, you could really see the difference. And I rate Chalobah, but Chalobah and Sarr, I thought Christensen in that game, you could really see who was the more experienced, more mature one in that back line. And just such a sense of security nowadays. I've always rated him highly, and I remember I stuck up on a podcast for him 2 years ago when there was rumors of him being sold, and Mediano and a couple of other accounts said, let's sell him, blah, blah, blah. And I was just nah, there's something about Christensen. I can't make a case for selling him. I just can't do it. I think he's really talented, and I think he's just a brilliant defender. Yeah, the only debate always was, he's not physical enough, but he's 100,000% added that to his game. So, I mean, yeah, what faults is there in this guy? He's on just amazing form and has been for many months now.
Especially if he adds scoring a couple of goals every now and again to his game as well.
That
elevates him even more.
All for it, honestly. I think I saw a tweet. I think so many of I think all of our defenders have scored now, right? Or something under Tuchel.
Probably.
Or maybe most of them this season. Alonso, Chalobah, Christensen, There was
Yeah,
a tweet about defenders basically. I'll try and find it.
I'm not sure. Has Aspie scored a goal?
He not this season. Maybe it was
Not this
maybe it
season.
was under Tuchel overall because he scored the first ever goal under Tuchel. So
That's true. Yeah, no, under Tuchel, he definitely has scored. That's true.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, obviously, when I quickly just want to say that because I see a lot of, especially opposition fans and journalists and people that call themselves, football analysts. They say, "Oh, we only score with our defenders." Well, yeah, but please take into consideration that our defenders include wingbacks, which are more attacking than Manchester United's wingers. So you have to include that, even if they are trained, defenders. They still play higher than half of Manchester United's team do. So, it's not just calling them simple defenders. Because if Hudson-Odoi played there, you wouldn't say the goals were scored by defenders, would you? So, hey, but it is what it is. Everyone but Sarr. Obviously, Sarr hasn't scored yet, but hey, the guy's had one competitive game. So we'll let him off. But, Pice, just finishing off on Christensen, what rating would you give him? For me, no. You know what? I'll let you go first.
8, I think.
Yeah,
probably an 8.
Yeah. I'd go along with that. Clutch, anything you want to add to Christensen? Lovely goal that was, wasn't it?
It was one of the best goals we've seen from any of our team this year. I mean, to be fair, that was off a volley and hit it. And you could even see, like, Lukaku was shocked that went in. But I think one of the things that impresses me most about Christensen is, like, if you can remember last season, I think it was Villa when he got ran over and he just stayed down. And you can see, like, he's growing in maturity under Tuchel more than he ever did under, like, his previous managers. I mean, he's showing strength. He's not getting bowled over as easy. He's not trying to fall over and then kind of blame the injury anymore. Like, I mean, he's grown so much under Tuchel, and he's becoming one of the, like, mainstays of this defense. And I think I have him down as an 8, and it was a great goal today.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And you brought up something important there, because I think sometimes people forget that centre-backs don't develop as quickly into top ability and form as forwards often do. Christensen is only 25 now. Look at Antonio Rudiger. How old was he when we signed him? Probably around 25. How old is Rudiger now?
Bro. Lauren, that's actually crazy that Christensen's only 25. Like, he's not even hitting his prime years yet. Like, it's crazy.
Exactly. Like you mentioned it there, Rudiger is in his prime now. That's why he's made this explosion of consistent performance, because we knew there was always a good defender in Rudiger. But his problem was showing that consistency week in, week out, and also not losing his head. And now, getting a bit older, he's found this perfect sweet spot of calming his aggression to the perfect amount. Being aggressive in terms of no one's, taking the piss out of him on the pitch. That's for damn sure. But it's not like he's getting himself sent off. But he's also got the maturity to know when to steam forward and go for a tackle, and know when to stay. His positioning improved so drastically, and he's always been good on the ball anyway. But Christensen, I'm not sure. Don't know if he will get as good as Rudiger or better, or who knows, right? But what we do know is Christensen will still get better, because a defender, a centre-back, they hit their prime years from 28 upwards, depending on how long they can extend their careers, from 28 to 33, 35, depending on how long they go. That's when a centre-back is in their prime. So the fact that Christensen has been developing as much as he has over the last few months is absolutely mental. Great to see, in my opinion. But I suppose on that note, we just finish off with the back five. Let's get to Aspie, because you mentioned it there. I was going to ask you, Clutch, did you think that Chile also did the inside thing? Or because I felt today Chile stayed on the outside more, and Aspie did the inside wing-back one, which was another step different to how we did it against Southampton. But maybe you saw that differently. But Aspie was very interesting. There was one moment where he was basically a centre forward, and Jorginho tried an over-the-top ball to Aspie. The amount of times Aspie came inside to play lovely one-touch layoffs to allow us to really accelerate the game like we haven't done basically at all since the Arsenal game this season. Like, we accelerated the game at times. I'm like, I haven't seen us do this, like I said, since the Arsenal game. And a lot of that was involving Aspie at times. I was very happy about it. Like, he wasn't like super involved in terms of assisting, scoring, this and that. But I think as an overall performance, you can't really fault him defensively. And he was certainly trying to get himself involved and playing better one-touch football than a lot of other players in our team did today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was even dragging defenders out. I mean, you could see somebody had to stay back just to make sure that when he was in the middle, like, they had somebody covering him, because he would be causing problems. And I think it depends. Like, Chilwell was in the middle, but if it was on that far, like if he was on the far side, he was always at the top of the box, where he where he's loving to keep his position. I mean, he had a couple shots from there today. But I think for the most part, I mean, it looked like Aspie was playing the number 10 today, and it was doing really well at it. I mean, you seen Conte wasn't pushing forward as much as he did the previous game. He wasn't sitting up at that, like, where Mount was pretty much the whole game. I think the idea was Mount was to be up on that top right-hand side, causing the pressure up there. But I was really happy with Aspie. I'd go, I think, an 8 for Aspie today. Well, no. I'm going to go 7.5. I'm going to go 7.5 because I think Christensen was better.
Fair. Pice, what about yourself? What did you make of Aspie?
Yeah, pretty much agree, including the rating. I do think Christensen was slightly better, also got a goal. But yeah, I really enjoyed him kind of like going more into the middle. You know, he was really good outlet for playing the ball into, and then he'd do this little like flicks along, you know, as soon as like the Malmo player would pressure him, he'd do like a little flick, and the Malmo players didn't really read it and gave us more space in the middle. So yeah, I did enjoy the role he played today. It was not, I think, I can't remember, we did it a game recently.
Southampton.
Was it Southampton? Yeah, it was
Sure.
Southampton. Yeah. Well, kind of like the wing backs in this occasion both did, kind of like obviously came inside and made it more narrow instead of having width. So yeah, on certain games it could certainly work, and today it did. So yeah, he played pretty well. So yeah, 7.5.
I would probably go along with that. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to add. I think you said it perfectly there. Although I will say I'm not totally against also giving Christensen maybe an 8.5, and then we can give Aspie an 8 if that's what you'd like to do. Nope. Neither of you?
No, I think it's fine the way it is.
Fair dues. Let's get to Ben Chilly Chilwell. Unfortunately, his goal scoring run has come to an end. It had to at some point, but he good old went for it. That was one of the most advantageous, shall we say, scissor kick attempt I've ever seen in my life. The fact that he even got his leg to that, fair play. You know, I've seen a lot of players when they try something like this, not even hit the ball or try to go with the head for it and, you know, play it out for a goal kick like nothing. Obviously, he played it out for a goal kick regardless, but the fact that he went for it, fair play to him. And it's good to see. But to be honest, Chile, I'm nothing negative to say about him. I just don't think he was quite as involved as Aspie. Obviously, also was taken off after an hour, but another good game. And just Alonso coming on was another indicator, if anyone didn't believe it already and didn't know it already, how much better Ben Chilwell is than Marcos Alonso. Like, Marcos Alonso came on and the whole team's performance dropped by about 3, especially because the left side just didn't exist anymore. Like, Alonso managed to get nutmegged and mugged off and ran over and ran past and passed the ball to the opposition about 4 times in a row. I'm like, we'll get to Alonso later, but baffling. And that automatically just shows how good Chilwell is. I don't know. It's a tough one to call for me. I'd probably give it like a 6.57, like 6.5 probably, just because it was a good performance, but like nothing special, if that makes sense, against the team where he wasn't obviously particularly challenged defensively. That's probably why I'd go. It's just a tough one. I mean, I'd happily give him a 7, but I'd probably think if we give him a 7, maybe we need to push at least Rudiger up by 0.5. I don't know. So I'd probably go 6.5, but it's a tough one. Clutch, what about you?
I was debating in my head whether I wanted to do 6.5 or 7. I was leaning more towards 7, but you made a good point with Rudiger, because if Rudiger's going to be 7, then we got to keep Chilwell, or we got to take Chilwell down to 6.5. I wouldn't say he caused problems. I mean, he did, like you said, that scissor kick was, like, to even get that close was insane. I mean, he had 3 shots and only committed 1 foul. So I'd say 6.5. I wouldn't say anything outside.
Fair, yeah. I mean, yeah. Anywhere between 6.5 and 7 is definitely where I'd go. But Pice, help us decide. 6.5 or 7?
6.5 for me. I just think, yeah, Rudiger was slightly better, more involved, I think, especially with the attacking runs. I do agree with Clutch. I don't think he was as involved today, Chilwell. But I think on the ball, he was still pretty good. And as you said, when Alonso came on, we just looked a whole lot worse. So, yeah, I mean, that does say something, I guess.
It really does. Let's get to the midfield too. And then N'Golo Kante, which everybody always tells me I hate on all the time. I'm going to be hating again a little bit. But so that's why I'm going to get to you boys first, because I'd like to see what other people think, because whenever I say something bad about Kante, everyone tells me I'm wrong. So let's see what you boys say first, and then let's see whether I just agree or not. So Pice, why don't I go first with you? What did you make of good old N'Golo today?
Thought he was very good, to be honest. I thought he was very good. I thought the interceptions he made were great, although I don't really have to say that about Kante. But yeah, I thought he worked really hard, especially he made a lot of forward runs. Drew quite a few fouls as well. I thought, to be fair, he was pretty solid. I mean, if he scored the screamer, it would have been like
okay, yeah, but he put in like
huge
10 yards
rating.
over.
I said like if he scored the screamer, it would have been a huge rating. But no, I think he was probably one of our best players out there today. I think no one could really stop him. They just fouled him all the time, and I think he was pretty solid overall. Good on the ball. Didn't really give too many passes away, which he does sometimes. I thought his link-up play was pretty decent as well. So overall, very solid performance, I think.
Fair enough. Interesting. I'll explain what I mean by. I'll do a little bit of hating in just a second. But what rating would you give him then?
An 8, I think.
Fair dues. Clutch, what about yourself? What did you make of N'Golo Kante today?
I didn't think he was amazing, but I didn't think he was bad. I think he did the things that Kante does well. I think he did all of that. And he drew 3 fouls outside the box, I think, something like that. I know most of the free kicks we got outside the box were him drawing that foul. It's just I think he carried the ball way too long at times, where he should have had that final third pass. I mean, the one where he eventually got a foul. I think what was it? Was it Cho out there on the left who he could have passed it to first time, and they could have had a little bit of something? But
I don't know who was out far on the left, but I think Callum made the run, diagonally to central, and that's one of the things I was going to touch on. Yeah, go on.
But I would give him a 7. I don't think he did anything bad, but I don't think he was influential. I think, especially when you're, when you look at, we'll get to him after this, but I think Jorginho was he was far more dangerous in the things that he did today.
I would agree on the rating. Let me just explain it. And I would even agree on a lot of the things that you said. On the things that Kante is good at, Kante was really good at today. And he wasn't quite as offensive as when we play a midfield 3. But there was 3 or 4 moments when he yeah, you said it there, Pies. He ran with the ball really well. That is true. But he ran with it for about 20, 30, 40 yards at times. And in each of these occasions, there was a really good pass to make a really dangerous situation on. And he just didn't pass. And yeah, he drew fouls. But he drew fouls because he didn't pass. So I'm not going to give him pros for getting fouled when he should have passed and we might have scored from that. Especially the last one that Clutch mentioned there. Hudson-Odoi is literally 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper if Kante passes. And I can't understand why he didn't pass. And that's just frustrating to me, because I know how good he is and I know he can do it. And I know you're good at dribbling, lad, but you don't need to dribble for 50 yards. You don't need to do that, please. Just pass the ball. You win the ball back so well, but it makes it kind of pointless if you then don't release it in the right moment. Instead, yeah, sure, get fouled, but we didn't do anything with the free kicks today, so essentially pointless. Again, you know how when Pulisic did it against Porto, the fouls were really useful. By how we dominated Malmo today, winning a free kick didn't really change much for us, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was just frustrating for me that he didn't play those passes. So I would probably go along with the 7, but if we would go 7 and Clutch would go, Pice would go 8, I suppose a 7.5 for this, which I don't think, it's too far off. Like I said, I would have gone 7 because I still think he was absolutely brilliant in winning the ball back and, doing a lot of his running. I think he did really, really well at. But for me, maybe you'll disagree, but I doubt it. For me, the man of the match today, Mr. Jorginho, Mr. Ballon d'Or himself. 2 goals. I tweeted it during the game as well. I wonder how many players, if anyone, has ever scored 2 penalties in the same game against 2 different goalkeepers. That was pretty good. Both different penalties. The first one didn't even have a skip. The second one had a tiny skip, jump, but still smacked it. So fair play. Should have won a penalty, in my opinion, which would have given him a hat-trick of penalties, which would have been funny. Do you guys know, has anyone ever scored a hat-trick of penalties in the same game? That would have been crazy. But, had a few lovely balls as well. There was this one switch ball or curling cross, whatever you want to call it, early in the first half for Chile. beautiful ball, and there was one cross in the second half, which I wish someone got on the end on properly. That was a beautiful cross as well. For me, man of the match. For me, just because, even though I think we were good, just because Malmö were really quite bad, I can't lie. I mean, whoever the defender was that was on Mount, usually he was having more of a giggle with Mount all game long than he was taking his football game seriously. I can't lie. But so I wouldn't give Jorginho a 10 just because of the opponent, even though that's probably unfair because you can only play who's in front of you. But I don't think Jorginho did a single thing wrong today. So you could even debate a 10 in all honesty. But I was going to go 9, but hey, if you guys are going to push me for a 10, I'm definitely not going to disagree, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's for me. Jorginho was absolutely top class today. And I'm really hoping and begging that we just play Ruben and Jorginho together against Norwich on Saturday. I think we would take Norwich apart with that midfield too. I honestly do. And this is not a negative to Kovacic, but Kovacic played a lot of games, didn't have his best game the last day out. And I just don't think Kante's necessary at all against Norwich. Just play Ruben and Jorginho. Trust me, watch it. It's going to be beautiful. That's my point on that. But Pais, let me go with you. What did you make of Jorginho today? And in the end, why don't you finish that off with whether you'd like to see Jorginho and Ruben together against Norwich?
Yeah, I thought, first off, I do agree. I mean, I thought Jorginho was my clear man of the match, to be fair. I don't think it was close.
Yeah.
I thought actually it was one of the subs we could have used against Brentford to calm it down a little bit and get hold of the ball. But I guess, you could argue the physicality of that game maybe wasn't made for him. But in terms of today, I mean, amazing. Yeah, I never really think he's going to miss. It's still crazy to me how he missed in the Euros final against England.
And then missed another one for Italy since then against Italy.
Yeah, it's just, but when he takes him for Chelsea, I just never think he's going to miss. Like, even the second one, I was like, well, he might actually save this one because he's probably going to go the same way and keeper might guess it. But no, still outfoxed him and outsmarted him. So, I mean, yeah, I just thought he was amazing on the ball, dictated the game very well, scored goals, great performance. I won't give him a 10 just because I don't think the opposition was high enough. So I don't really think he was tested to limits he's been tested before, but I will give him a 9 because I think he was our man of the match. So yeah, I think no one else gets a rating a 9 apart from him. But in terms of it's Saturday. Saturday, I mean, Jorginho and Ruben would be lovely. But I don't know, man. Like, we've got.
You love Kova, I know.
Yeah, I love Kova, but like, even with I'm just thinking of like Kante as well. Like, if Kante's fit, like, do you bench Kante? Like, it just seems weird to me. That's why I guess he's that's why I guess he's playing midfield 3 a lot more because he can fit an extra one in. So
yeah.
But then without Lukaku, I mean, what's the point in 3-5-2 anyway? Like, Werner's injured. Like, it has to be.
We're not going to play
3-4-3.
3-5-2 without Lukaku, will we?
No, exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. It has to be 3-4-3. So 2 midfielders are going to be on the bench. So, I mean, to be honest, I don't care what the midfield combination is. Jorginho and Ruben would boss them. Jorginho and Kovacic would tear them apart because Kovacic would just be gliding forward and Jorginho would just be controlling the play. Jorginho and Kante is probably the one I wouldn't want to see against Norwich. I think Jorginho and Kante are the big game pivot, like Champions League, like proper big game with. Or maybe even like, Jorginho and Kante. So, yeah, I think those are the big game ones in terms of just the most defensive ability. But I think against Norwich, you either play Ruben or Kova, I think, next to Jorginho, I believe, I think, yeah. So, I mean, I don't really mind who plays. I think, yeah. Again,
fair play.
Yeah, it's a hard one because I want to say, I do love Kovacic, but at the same time, like, Ruben's on such good form. So, like, I just want to keep playing Ruben because he's been so good. It's like, I don't want to see him on the bench.
I just feel like, we haven't seen Ruben and Ruben and Jorginho together. And I feel like Norwich is probably the perfect opponent to see how it is. And then we can judge it moving forward. We've seen a few more combinations. That's basically why I do it.
It's like, to be fair, the Ruben situation for me right now is very similar to Chalobah's situation. Is they're playing so well is that I don't want to drop them. They're kind of undroppable on their form. Like, I think they're just so good, especially Chalobah. Like, I think he's been so good, but we've got players in defence. Like, we've got loads of players in midfield. So it's like, what do you do? Like, it's so annoying.
while I agree, I do though think for the centre backs, Christensen, Thiago Silva, and Rudiger have all also been good and great. While in midfield, Kova started the season brilliantly. Then maybe you'll slightly disagree. Had a couple of off games, in my opinion. I don't think Kante has been brilliant since the second half against Spurs. While Ruben has pretty much always been brilliant when he's got the chance this season. So if you're going to play properly on merit, I think Ruben has to play. But Ruben has kind of played instead of Jorginho for the most part when he has played this season. So will they work together? Which is why I want to see it. But we'll talk about that in more depth in the preview on Friday. But Clutch, Jorginho, would you go along with a 9 or would you go higher regardless of the opposition, if that makes sense?
I'm gonna go higher. This is what I want to see from our midfield. I mean, Jorginho was doing everything that I want to see. He was playing the balls over the top. He had one ball where he threw ball to, I think it was Havertz, who hit it into the side of the net. But he was pressing high up the field. I mean, he got the ball back twice and in their box, and that's Jorginho doing that. And I know it's Malmo, and I know it's all that, but like for me, Jorginho was just doing everything right today. Like I would, since it's gonna be Malmo, I have him down as a 10, but I'll bring it down to a 9.5. But for me, Jorginho is just, I mean, he was by far the best player on the field.
Let's go 9.5. I think that's reasonable. In all honesty, let's get to the forwards. Let's get to the one that actually played the whole game and didn't get injured. Mason Mount. Mason Mount had the typical Mason Mount performance where half the fan base will say he was brilliant, and the other half will say all he did was run around. That was Mason Mount today. I thought he was very good. I thought there was a couple of moments where I'm like, okay, a little bit of rust in there maybe because he hasn't played a lot recently. And so the amount of times I see Mount when he's on the right side, I'm like, I just wish you were on the left. Because Mount played like 3 or 4 such unbelievable crosses today. I'm like, yes, not just some roly-poly, silly cross that is so easy to clear for the defender. Not some weird lifted cross that is so easy to punch for the goalkeeper. No, just some proper whip on it. And if anyone gets there, they just have to make sure they don't sky it. And like just literally the ball just bounces in off them. But no one got on the end of those, which is why no one will care. But we mentioned it off air. I think Pice, it was you that mentioned it off air before we went live. Sorry if it was you, Clutch. But his pressing was like, he was so on it. Like, he was like right on it all day, all night. Like, it was lovely to see. But there was obviously still things he could have done a tad better offensively in terms of pure output. I will go first again for this one. I'll let you guys go first for a couple of the next ones. But for me, Mount, I'll probably go... Yeah, I probably would have gone similar with Kante of a 7. So now if we gave Kante 7.5, I'd probably give Mason a 7.5. Would you be okay with that? Let me go with you, Clutch.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I have him probably as a 7, but like if you're going to have Kante as a 7.5, I think they're about on equal terms. I think the things that we expect Mount to do, he did well, and he had a couple nice one-touch passes, like back heels that he did. He had that one cross that he absolutely rifled that Kai almost got onto the end of. Yeah, I'd say 7 point. I'd be okay with a 7.5.
Fair dues. Pice, what did you make of Mount today? Do you agree that it was a performance like where half the fan base, like Jester, thankfully we don't have Jester today, we're probably giving him a 4 today, but where half the fan base will say it was awful and half the fan base will say it was great?
Yeah, I thought Mount was a pretty weird one. You're probably going to say, oh, no. But, you was mentioning those crosses that you thought were really good. I thought he really overdid them today. Like, I thought, okay. I don't know. I just thought so much whip and power on them. I was personally thinking, oh, every time he did, and no one's ever going to get that. Like, I just thought they were a bit over the top. Maybe that's just me. Like, I don't know. I would have preferred more precision and accuracy. He kind of just got down the line.
Don't you think they were precise? I know what you mean. Maybe they were too fast for anyone to get in the end of, but I don't think they were not precise.
What I mean by precise is, I don't think he took enough time to think about the cross. He just kind of went down the line and smashed it in. It's kind of like, I don't know. For me, I prefer my players to be a bit more technical than that.
Okay. Well, for me, I think he put them exactly where he wanted to put them, but I guess I see why you'd look at it that way. I just took it as a positive because, like I explained, usually when we cross, we never hit crosses with good pace. And I'm not saying we should. I agree with you. Maybe he shouldn't have hit 3 or 4 like that. Maybe it would have been enough to hit 1 or 2 and then 1 or 2 others just to mix it up. but I would like to see a few more hard whipped crosses, just because it makes it more difficult for the defenders. Sure, it also makes it more difficult for the attackers, but if your attacker gets on it, it's much more likely to be a goal than when you give the attacker a lot more to do with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm not saying he didn't put them in good areas like he did. I guess it's just a personal thing, really. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Like, I like how Hudson-Odoi does them, for example. Like, he kind of like, when he cuts in and like I don't know, I just feel like he looked up more, like, the Mount. Whereas Mount kind of was just head down and like smashing them across.
Playing across, I can't lie.
No, I didn't mean today. I mean, like, he usually like puts his head up and cross, like kind of like the Southampton game. There was a lot where he got down the line, took a touch, cut in, looked up, crossed. Whereas I think Mount today was more go down the line, not look up, but smash it into an area. But I guess because they went in the good areas, I guess you could argue, well, he knew what he was doing anyway, so you don't need to look up. But that's like one of the basics of football, right?
Yeah.
You always look up.
I suppose they're just two different styles of crosses, I guess.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Just something I picked up on, I think.
Yeah. Just on that note, just because when I think about that, because you make a good point, like they are very different styles of crosses. I think part of that is because Callum cuts in and gets them on his right in swinging. And I think if you in swing, smack it. By the time he cut in, there's obviously going to be way more bodies there. While Mason, because he's come from the right and crosses with his right, he kind of tries to smack them before the defenders get to the deep line. So he can get the cross in without lofting it. Well, Callum, because he cuts inside, needs to loft them, otherwise they will never go through. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of get what you mean. I kind of get it.
Like I say, I'm not even saying you're wrong. I'm just trying to debate why they're doing different styles of crosses.
Yeah. That's cool.
But what rating would you give Mason then? Like myself and Clutch would have gone 7.5. Would you have gone a tad lower with 7 then?
7, yeah. I don't think it was good as Kante, personally.
Fair. Well, I suppose with democracy, we're going to do the 7.5. But to be fair, we did give you the 7.5 for Kante because myself and Clutch obviously would have gone 7. But I think in the end, it's 0.5 off 8. We're not exactly far off each other. Let's get to the two injury boys of today, unfortunately, because especially why I say unfortunately, not just because they got injured, because I actually thought they both did a good job until they got injured. Both of them, honestly. I mean, Timo was involved in pretty much every piece of attacking we did until he came off, in all honesty. Played the ball, if I'm not mistaken, played the ball to Lukaku, from which Lukaku won the penalty as well. And Lukaku finally did kind of what myself and Pice in particular have been discussing a few times, where I'm like, yes, now you've looked a bit lively, moving left, moving right, going this way, going that way, getting involved in things. I thought they were both pretty good. I mean, when was it that Lukaku came off? 25 minutes, half an hour? It was a tough one to call, really, but is it an NA? I don't really know. 23rd minute, I don't know. But he won as a penalty, so maybe a rating with a star? I don't know. Let me go with you first, Clutch. Would you give Lukaku a rating? And if so, what would you give him?
I'd probably give him a 7.5. I mean, he should have had an assist too, to be fair. I mean, if Werner would have put that chance away, that was literally in front of the goal.
Are we still sure that he wasn't on offside?
I mean, until they call it, I'm not going to. That's the way I'm going to put it.
No, true. Sure. But because obviously they called it, but I wasn't sure whether it was or not, because if it went in and it was offside, obviously it wouldn't have stood anyway.
Yeah, I could be it. I think he should do it with a star. I do think he's still, he was still better than we've seen him in the last few weeks. Yeah. I think if you're going to give him a rating, I think it's a star, and I would go with the 7.5. I mean, he was involved. I do think that he probably shouldn't have dribbled as far as he did to get that penalty. But it ended up he got a penalty and he got injured. It's unfortunate. But at the same time, he was like a foot away from the goalie when he decided that he was going to keep going with that ball. I don't know. I go 7.5.
I probably go along with that, to be honest. I mean, at 7.5 with star. Otherwise, obviously, I think it would be unfair on Mason, Kante, Aspie, who've also received 7.5, or in particular on Rudiger and Thiago Silva, who got 7. But yeah, with a star, I think a 7.5 makes sense. Pies, what did you make of Lukaku, and what would you rate him?
Yeah, I think I said previously, I thought he was very good. Definitely looked a lot better than previous games. I liked it as well when he went out wide and we played him in, and that ball, he put that brilliant ball across to Werner, which we should have scored. Ironically, the one time Werner was actually onside, he couldn't put it in the net. If he was offside, 100%, he probably would have
No,
done some
Lukaku was the
backflip
one who might
finish.
have been offside, not Werner himself, actually.
No, I think Werner was onside.
No, Werner was definitely onside, but the pass before that, Lukaku might have been offside. That was what the flag went up for.
Yeah, no, I meant like if Werner was offside, like just in general, like in another game, I think he probably would have done like some backflip finish from that cross,
Yes, probably.
and then done like a knee slide. But because he was onside, it's kind of like his brain said, "I'm going to miss this here," and he just didn't score it. But yeah, I mean, Lukaku was very good. I thought 7.5 a star. It seems fair, although I mean, to be fair, yeah, he probably was even better than Kante when he was playing. So
yeah, when he was playing, it's just tough. When you only play 23 minutes and then you come off, it's just difficult.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I had no doubt that he was definitely getting a goal or two the way he was playing, and to win the penalty was brilliant. I was like, how is he like? He really showed his strength. I was like, how is he still going through? Like, I thought he lost the ball, but he didn't. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree with that actually. Question, just quickly, if he was able to stay on, do you think Jorginho would have taken a penalty regardless, or do you think it would have been Lukaku?
I don't know. I think probably Jorginho.
I think so as well. Although you think if there was a day to give the striker the penalty, it's probably when he's struggling for goals, is it not?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I think I'm not sure if Lukaku would have asked for it, because if Lukaku like got up and said, "Can I take?" Jorginho would have 100% said yes. Like, because he let who did he let take one before? And I think he missed. I can't remember. Someone.
It was Werner, I think, last year.
Was it Werner? Yeah, Jorginho was like, "Yeah, cool, you take it," last year or something, or before, and he missed, and then it was kind of like,
It's almost like Mbappe yesterday. Like 8.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what game that was, but yeah, no doubt. I mean, Jorginho's even said in the past he doesn't mind other people taking penalties. Like he just wants to win. So I mean,
he just wants them to be scored. Yeah,
yeah, he just wants to win and win the game. So I don't think Jorginho cares that much. But saying that, I mean, they're both very good penalty takers. Like Lukaku takes them for Belgium all the time. Obviously, Jorginho, yeah. So I mean, I would have liked him to take it. I can't physically answer whether I think he would have or not.
Yeah, of course. But I think we're all in rough agreement on the 7.5 as long as we give it a star. Timo Werner, to be fair, played 44 minutes, so we can probably give him a proper rating. Well, no, we definitely can give him a proper rating. And like I said, the miss was obviously bad. I mean, it was called off, but I'm still not sure. We only saw one replay, and on that, I really wasn't sure whether Lukaku was off in the build-up. So if it wasn't off, that's a bad miss, like a really bad. It shouldn't be happening. But sorry, outside of that miss, I think he did a good job. So I don't know. I'd be willing to give it another 7.5. To be honest, I think he did reasonably well. Let me stick with you, Pies, this time around. What would you say about Timo, and what would you rate him?
This one's a bit difficult. I think I'm going to go with a 7. I don't think he was. Yeah, I don't think he was as good as Lukaku, but I don't know. I feel it was definitely better than 3-5-2. That's for starters. There's been games where in the 3-4-3 I thought he's looked a bit not isolated, but just kind of not very good out there. But I thought just his general on the ball was actually more improved than previously. Like, he didn't give many balls away. Like, yeah, I thought he was.
Touch was good.
Yeah, he was pretty decent technically, which is quite a surprise to what we're used to. So, yeah, I mean, it was just that one from the cross where you think, maybe even if it was offside, put it in the back of the net. But yeah, I'll give him a 7.
Fair. I think 7 or 7.5 is probably what I'd like. Clutch, what about you?
I have him as a 7. I think he had a couple poor touches. I think there was one time when he got the ball around the top of the box that he probably should have taken a shot 1 or 2 seconds earlier, and he probably had a better chance, but he waited and allowed somebody to close him down, and it got blocked. I think he had a couple not great touches, but overall, I think he was all right. I mean, I don't think he did anything wrong. I just think it's a typical Werner kind of thing to do.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But hey, democracy like it was for Mason and democracy for Timo. So we'll go with the 7 and we'll go with the first sub of the night, which of course was Kai Havertz after 23 minutes. Got himself a goal. Potentially could have had a couple more. The goalkeeper making a good save from the Jorginho pass where Kai in the end it ended up in the side netting because, the goalie made a good save. Good performance today. I've said this many times already this season. I much prefer Kai in this role than this role, or even more so than this role, because here I just think I don't understand why he would ever play there, to be honest. But if there's any positive to Lukaku getting injured, is that we can probably allow Kai to get into a bit of proper form, and maybe then he can also play well in this position, which is kind of my hope. Yeah, I think he did well. I think the finish was beautiful, lovely chip finish. Perfectly over the goalkeeper into the inside of the far post and going in. Can't really ask for much more than that. Like I said, could have maybe had 1 or 2 more, but overall can't really complain. He gave the assist for when Rudiger, or played the pass for when Rudiger won us the penalty. So, like we agreed to earlier, Rudiger probably scores that, so that would be an assist for Havertz then. So I think he did a good job. I'd probably go, got a goal, could have had an assist if it wasn't for the penalty. I'd probably go 8. To be honest, yeah, 8. I don't think he was absolutely out of this world good outside of the goal. But I think, we were fluid. We were more fluid than we were in the last few games, just because he's just more mobile. And that's just, I feel like the team suits this more still. And we still need to, learn what to do when we have Lukaku up front. But yeah, I was happy with Kai. Like I said, I'd go for an 8. Clutch. What about yourself?
I was thinking more of a 7.5, but if we're gonna include the pass to Rudiger, then we can probably push it up to an 8, because that could have been very easily could have been an assist. I think he had a couple shots that were. I shouldn't say. I mean, I can understand, because when you're not in form, I don't see you getting anywhere close with the shots. I mean, he at least got close today with a couple shots. And he did have a great finish to get it up over the keeper like that, especially when I think he came out afterwards and said that the ball was played a little too far in front of him, that he only had
the ball
to
wasn't that
chip the
great
ball.
from Callum.
Yeah, but I could be talked to an 8. I can be talked to an 8.
Fair. Pice? 8, 7.5, maybe higher.
For Havertz, yeah, I think an 8, probably because he got the goal, and I thought overall I think he made our play more fluid. I liked his movement. One chance he got saved wasn't really his fault; it was actually a really good save. Don't remember him doing too many things bad, actually. Yeah, I'll give him an 8. I think, yeah, Mount 7.5 and he was better. So, yeah, comfortably 8, actually, looking at the ratings.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't be totally upset if you said 8.5 either. Honestly, like I said, I really thought the finish was good. I really thought it was a good save from the keeper on Kai's weak foot to push it into the side netting, and the pass for Rudiger was great, very well timed too. So I wouldn't even be upset if we went 8, but 8.5. But let's stick with the 8. Why don't we? Let's get to Callum Hudson-Odoi, the second sub of the day, obviously coming up with Timo Werner just before the break, getting a good assist for Kai straight after the break, obviously. Outside of that, had one good shot from the edge of the box or just inside the box, which the goalie in the end was quite comfortable in punching away, but still a good effort from a good angle. And if Mason got to play on the left, he would shoot like that a few times, but because Mason always plays on the right, Callum is the only one who would shoot. Werner won't shoot like that, and Kai definitely won't shoot like that from the left side. So yeah, Callum good, but I will say, other than the assist and that shot, I know we already spoke about it off air before the stream, I'm pretty sure. Or was it on air already? I can't remember. I didn't see that much of him, not necessarily in a bad way, but it just, especially once Alonso was on like the left side, was just dead, and that included him, but probably more down to Alonso, maybe a little bit Saul in the middle as well. I don't know. For me, I don't know. I'd probably give him a 7.5, but I know Pice would probably like to go a tad higher. I don't know. We'll see. But for me, it's probably a 7.5. Clutch, what did you make of Callum?
Can we go with Pius first? Because I want to hear what he has to say. Because my rating is going to be a little bit harsh on him. So
fair. Okay, Pius, go on.
So you guys cut out a little bit. Who is this on?
Callum Hudson-Odoi. I said 7.5, and I was going to go to Clutch, and he said he's going to be harsh. So he will probably go quite a bit lower than that, so he asked you to go first.
I thought Callum was pretty positive, to be fair. He did fade a little bit as the game went on, but he wasn't as involved. But I thought his overall impact on the game was very good. And I'd like to see him start against Norwich. In fact, I demand he starts against Norwich. There's no one else on the left side that should start.
Yeah, with the 2 injuries we have now, it shouldn't really be a debate.
Yeah, like, don't try anything silly, Tuchel. No Ziyech on the left again and Mount on the right or whatever. None of that, please.
Yeah.
But
What rating would you give Callum, though, bro?
So we got Werner 7, Mountain with 5. 7.5, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
7.5.
I would have gone with that as well. So I think that's fair enough. But Clutch, hit us. How harsh would you go, and why would you go as harsh?
The thing with me is I want to give Callum so much, like, I want to give him credit for things because of what people think he is, right? I don't think he's some elite goal scorer. And I know a lot of people do. I don't think that's going to be who he is. I think he's a passer at heart. I think he's better at assisting than he is at scoring. But at the same time, this game, I only seen like 2 or 3 moments from him where it's like, okay, now you're making something happen. You're doing the dribbling part, I have him as a 7, and I feel like that's way too harsh on him, especially since I wouldn't say we got better, but I would say it was more fluid, right? And I think he is one of those players that, like, I desperately need his dribbling ability. Him, Pulisic. I think those are 2 players that we are missing so desperately in that final third of the game. But for me, it's just like, I can see when he goes out there, I can see him trying. But it's like when you're saying, like, I think if you put him on the right, we're going to get more results from crossing than we are if we're going to put Mount on that right-hand side. We get Mount, who's going to be able to who's a better shooter than Callum is. And I think, I don't want to be so harsh on him, but it's just like, I don't see this guy who's going to destroy defenses. And I hate saying that because I had an argument with somebody over Twitter last night about this. And he said on metrics, he's better than Pulisic. And I'm like, on metrics, Pulisic has 5 times the goals as he does and has like 2 less seasons to do it. And he's almost always injured. For me, I think Callum, I'm not going to argue against the 7.5 because I think I am being too harsh, but that's just my take on him.
Just quickly on that stat comparison, you got to remember that Callum started his professional career at a younger age. So even though he was a professional sooner, he's still younger.
Oh no, for sure. But the thing is, it's like, you want to talk about, like, Pulisic played in the Bundesliga, right? That's where he started. Callum started here in the Premier League. He should be well more equipped to that than Pulisic is. But it's, and I should say,
Bundesliga taxes why Pulisic has so many more goals.
Yeah, but it's, would I rather see Callum in this formation on the left hand side than Werner? Yes, I would. But at the same time, it's, it hurts because I feel like I'm being so harsh because I don't dislike Joe. I don't dislike him at all. But I also see why he doesn't play on the left. I guess that's all I'm trying to say.
I see that as well. I do think he needs to take his chances a bit more when he gets them. But today was a step. He got an assist, had a decent shot, got involved. Not as much as I would have liked, but still in some influential moments. But I think, like we have done on a couple of occasions, myself and Pies would have gone 7.5. So 7.5 it is. Let's just rattle through these last couple of subs a bit quicker because we've been going for a minute already and there's not that much to say. Saul, Pies, what did you make of him? Just quickly.
NA, to be honest. Hardly noticed him.
To be honest, same. To be honest, same.
Legit,
the only thing I really noticed was when he fell over and didn't get a free kick, and I thought it should have been a free kick.
Yeah, I think the only thing I can remember is he made a overlap, I think, to Mount, and then he crossed, but it got blocked and it went out as a throw. That's all I remember.
I remember that too. That is true. Clutch, would you go along with an NA, or do you have anything to say or to rate about Saul?
You can't rate on nothing pretty much. I'd go NA.
Fair enough. Let me go with Reece James first. Obviously, Saul, Reece James, and Marcus Alonso all came on at the same time. Reece was certainly more involved than others, so you can probably rate him. But if you're going to rate him, you'd probably give him like a 6.57 just because he didn't do anything special good. He definitely didn't do anything bad. So either NA or 6.5-ish is what I'd probably go. 6 maybe, but clutch. What about you?
I go 7. I mean, I think him and Mount had a couple good link ups there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there was one time that James almost went through like 3 people and almost got on the end of it and could have had a very good chance. So I think it's 7.
Maybe 7 is pushing it a little bit for me, but I definitely see those moments that you mentioned. Pies, what would you do with good Reece?
Yeah, I think 6.5 for me.
Yeah, I'd probably go along with that. Yeah. And then Marcos Alonso. We're going to have a quick little round at the end. How can anyone be this bad at football, man? How long did he play? 20 minutes? I've never seen a footballer do this many things wrong in 20 minutes. Like, it took him 30 seconds to get nutmegged. Like, what is this? It's awful. He has a 1, and that's a push. Should be a 0 in all honesty. It's like, awful. Like, Jester told us yesterday that Sadiq, like worldwide Chelsea, isn't Alonso, like actually rates Alonso. Sorry, I didn't even know these humans existed. That's mental to me. Absolutely mental. I mean, does anyone have anything good to say about Alonso and any reasoning why he shouldn't have a 1? Please do tell, whether you're in the chat or whether you're called Clutch or Pies. Let me go with you first, Clutch, but this is ridiculous what he pulled off today.
I think it's amazing that we play offense for 65 minutes, and then he comes on, and all of a sudden we're having to play defense again, and it takes a guy 30 seconds to get.
We did nothing going forward anymore, other than when Mason and Reece did it completely off the right.
I think it takes a special kind of player to get nutmegged that quickly, and then I think he gave up three times as many fouls as Chilwell did on that side. I think he had 3 fouls at the end of the day, which is just it shows how many times he got beat on that side, and then he played 25 minutes. I'd go with the 1. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Fair enough. Price, anything positive you want to say about Alonso, or would you go along with our ratings?
I'll just go along with it. Prefer not to speak because I'll get called an Alonso hater. I mean, I just don't rate the guy. I mean,
because you can't rate the guy.
No, but even on these player rating streams when he was doing really well, I was like, yeah, he was good. I don't know. People say it's an agenda. I don't know, man. No more comments from me.
Fair dues. This is all very clustered here. So let me add Tuchel here. Just quickly, Price, what rating are you giving Thomas Tuchel today?
Considering I don't think he did anything wrong with the whole Lukaku thing, it's going to be very high because I thought his subs were spot on. I thought he rested key players. I thought
two of them rested themselves by getting injured, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought the way we compacted the midfield and used kind of the inside fullback with Aspi was really clever because they couldn't get out of our press. I thought our pressing was much better. I liked that Callum came on as well. And yeah, I mean, overall, I quite liked the lineup, to be fair. The only one I was a bit confused about was Rudiger. But, I mean, it's one of those ones where I guess he's got more minutes in his legs now, so it looks like a positive.
Yeah, in the end, it worked out perfectly, yeah.
I mean,
while with Lukaku, it obviously didn't go out perfectly at all.
I mean, I'll be interested to know what you two are going to give him because I can't find really a fault. I think it was just a perfect night's football. And perfect nights usually get you a 10, so I don't know.
Well, you didn't want to give Jorginho a 10 because of the opposition, so I don't think we can give Tuchel a 10 for the same reason.
But the way he set up the actual side, it's a bit different when you're the manager. The way we compacted the midfield and made it more narrow, kind of, as I said, they couldn't get out of our press. Whereas if we sat off a little bit, I don't know what could have happened. Maybe we wouldn't have scored as many, or maybe they've had more time on the ball. So I thought in terms of the tactical element of today, he came out obviously on top, but did really well from the start. Whereas I think in many of our games, we played really shit in the first half. So it was nice to see that in the first half, from minute 1 for a change, we was really dominant.
That is true. Now, my rating would have been an 8 for the reason I don't think we should go any higher against Malmö than a 9 for him. And I also think there could have been players. Thiago Silva, I know he couldn't play the last game. 37-year-old Thiago Silva didn't have to play against Malmö. Rudiger didn't have to play against Malmö. Azpilicueta didn't have to play right wing back against Malmö. I think Kante didn't have to play against Malmo. We could have saved a few more legs for a tough run into the season because, yeah, we look at it, we have 5 games in international break, but 9 out of 10 of these players will play another 2 or 3 games in international break as well. And then things were going to get even tougher in December. So for me, take any chance you can get to rest players. And today would have been one of those moments and he didn't do it. Hence why I can't go super high. For me, hey, if you disagree, that's absolutely fair. And obviously it worked out in the results, but, the result also worked for many, and we still gave him a 6. Obviously, you're right, and the manager sets up the whole thing, so he has more of an influence on the whole on the matter. But every manager will tell you, well, I can tell them whatever I want. If the players don't do it, then I'm screwed. And if they do it, then it's well on them because they actually did what I told them to do. Because the difficult part is obviously executing what you're told. But
Laurenz,
that's why I would have
got a
question. Of course.
What would your lineup be then today? If you think who would you have brought in? Because you're saying you would have personally rested more players. So what would your lineup have been?
I would have. Well, I'm not going to hold that against Tuchel, but I wouldn't. I mean, we went through it yesterday. I wouldn't have started Lukaku. I would have started Havertz from the get-go. I wouldn't have even started Werner just because he played 2 games for Germany and he played our game and he played our game before that, just to rest him. Obviously, not his fault that they got injured, but I wouldn't have played them. I would have played Kai and I would have played Callum. That's who I would have started with. Midfield 2, I wouldn't have started Kante. Either go with Saul, because why not, or go with Ruben again, and rather than me sitting here for Norwich asking for Ruben and Jorginho together, could have done that today. I think Aspie should have either played centre-back or be rested, and Reece James should have been wing-back. And then, depending on whether you stick Aspie at centre-back, and then you don't use Saul, or if you rest Aspie completely, stick with Saul. For me, and to be honest, it could have been either, if you want to play Silva, fair enough, but then give Christensen a rest. He's played both games for Denmark to international break. Why not stick to Chalobah? You know what I mean? And then for the Premier League game, which is going to be, even though Norwich are also not that great, let's be honest, they're still better than Malmo. So I just think there could have been a bit more rest today. And now that I say all of these things, I'm not even sure I want to give Tuchel an 8 anymore. Maybe I'm more towards a 7.5 because I do still think there could have been way more rested today, and we didn't. I know he took players off, but 2 of them, who knows whether he would have ever taken off Lukaku or Werner. We can't sit here and say, he would have done. We don't know. So, yeah, that's why I would have gone. Now that I've talked myself into it, I would go 7.5. But how high would you have? Would you genuinely have gone 10, Pies?
You've kind of made me think more about the midfield, I think. In terms of Saul, I think he probably should have started. Just because, if you don't
when
start...
it's not the Champions League, what's the point in the whole signing if he can't even play Champions League games against Malmo?
Exactly, I don't get it. That I guess, all right, I'll give you that. The only thing was probably Saul. But the rest of the lineup, I understand, because I think he just wants to get... I think he'll go strong again against Malmo away. He just wants to get these 2 100%
but away it makes
points.
sense, though, because away is more difficult.
Yeah, but then if we mess up this game and then we go to a tough away game, we're like, oh shit, we might not even get out of the group. So
we had 5 subs. If we got 1-0 down, you can bring everyone on. Let's be honest, we still win. Zenit beat them 4-0.
No, but we wouldn't want to be in that position.
No, you wouldn't want to be, but by that logic, you can never rest anybody ever, and then you will just kill all your players. Because there's always a chance it goes wrong.
I don't know. Personally, I just think if something went wrong, everyone would have been like, "I'll just get the game." Why didn't you play your strongest team? It's Champions League. It's not like it's Carabao Cup or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. People would have said that. Not me, but you're right. People would have said that. But hey, that's what we're here for, different opinions. If we got another person aside from us 3 here, they probably would say another different opinion. So hey, it's just what we're stuck with. So with what I said, would you have gone then 9.5 or 9, or where would you have landed on in the end?
Probably a 9.5 because I think only midfield takes away 0.5 point for me personally.
Fair dues. Let me go.
I'll be interested to see what the chat says. What would you have given Tuchel today?
Chat, what would you have given Thomas Tuchel today? We'd all be very intrigued what you guys would say about that. Obviously, after what us guys, have said, Master Yoda saying, Pi's been listening to Alex Ferguson always play your best. Yeah, because Alex Ferguson always did that. Sure. But hey, Alex Ferguson now takes footballing advice from Habib, whatever his surname is, I can't pronounce it. Habib. So why not? I mean, to be fair, United turned it around, which was a bit annoying, but the next game
that's great.
was awful. So,
that's great that they turned it around. Ollie stays. That's great.
Yeah, but they could have left it at 2-2, do you know what I mean?
True, true. But then the pressure could have been on because he didn't win. So I'm actually glad they won tonight.
Yeah, I see what you mean with that. I mean, Master Yoda said 8.5. Imam said 8.5. Come on, guys. I know there's more of you here, so still give us your thoughts on
But
what
like,
you would
why
rate.
as well? Can some of you guys in the chat, like whoever put 8.5, can you say why he wouldn't get a perfect rating? Like, what didn't you actually like about it? What are you deducting points for? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but let's see what Clutch has to say as well. What would you rate Tuchel? And because Pies really wants to know why would you rate him like that?
I would go with an 8.5 or a 9. I think you have the decision. You can either rest against Norwich or you can rest against Malmo. I think the safer bet is to rest against Norwich. I mean, Norwich's best player is Billy Gilmore. He's not going to be able to play for him. They're not going to be a threat. They're just not. I'm sorry. There's always a chance, I guess, in any game for somebody to be a threat. And I can understand why Tuchel came out and was like, you know what? I want to get these points right now. I want every Champions League points that I can possibly get. Don't even let Juventus be a deciding factor. I'm going to go get my points against Malmo like I should, and then I'll just go get it against Zenit. And you're good. You're going through the next round. I can understand that. I think even the way we set up today was just to attack. Like you've seen high energy. You've seen the midfield playing passes that we haven't seen them do well all year. I think Tuchel he set up everything perfectly. And when things weren't going right or he thought he could make a decision, Cho was the proper decision. You could either pick Cho or you could pick Ziyech. Ziyech doesn't even get a look in today, and that's the proper decision until he gets whatever he has out of his system. I think I would lean towards 9. I think he did. If you're gonna do what Tuchel did today and you're gonna go super strong, I think he did everything right then.
Fair enough. So we have a 9.5, a 9, and now we're sounding very harsh, 7.5 from me. So where does that end up? Probably at an 8.78 something. So let's give him that 8.5. I lean more towards you guys than I'm leaning towards me, guys, because I like you both. Because I'm not necessarily saying any of you are wrong with the things you're saying. I'm just like, we could have had the same points and the same result with resting a few more players, and that would have just been a tad better. To be honest, that I know I started it and it's my own fault, but rating managers is very like, how does a manager end up with an in-between rating? Because either he gets it all wrong or he gets it all right. The only thing is he could get it wrong from the start and change it at halftime, like Tuchel has done a couple of times this season, for example, Spurs or Villa. And then you end up with the middle rating. But otherwise, you either get it wrong or you get it right. So I see what you're saying, Pies, like how far away from what actually happened, if you take away, you could have rested more. No, you can't really deduct much. You can't really criticize much. But I still think we could have achieved the result today, maybe not quite the same amount of goals, but a comfortable victory by resting more players, especially what Clutch said there. We were super high intensity today, which again is even another reason why it would have been better to not play all the players that start pretty much all of our games. Because you can't take anyone lightly, but I've seen a lot of games against League One and League Two sides where we play much weaker teams than today we did, and they've been much more difficult opponents than Malmö were. So, if you can't rotate against Malmö, you're never going to rotate against anybody. And then what's the point in having a bloody squad? That's all where I'm coming from. But I don't even want to take it too seriously or too negatively. It's just, I don't know. I didn't even want to say, Tuchel did it all wrong today. I just would have preferred to see a bit more rotation. But hey, in the end, that's not what we got. We got a 4-0 win. Lovely jubbly. The only negative today was, the injuries. And the injuries is nothing that Thomas Tuchel could have controlled. But let's hope at least by Friday we find out a little bit more about the injury situations, because it's Lukaku and because it's Timo Werner. There will be more questions than there is about Christian Pulisic, because the English media don't care apparently, because it took them about 5-6 weeks to actually ask a question. But hey, it is what it is. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round it out here, but check out both Pies and Clutch down in the description below, of course, on Twitter. To both of you guys, I appreciate you for coming on as always. Ladies and gentlemen in the chat, ladies and gentlemen watching, I appreciate all of you. Subscribe if you haven't already. Smash that like button. And we'll see you again on Friday for the preview for the game against Norwich, which, of course, is on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff, which, again, why do we play Wednesday in the Champions League and then the Premier League give us the Saturday early kickoff? Do any of these people have a brain? I don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, up and onwards, and we'll see you next time.